The blind genius who made everyone see, Stevie Wonder, and the music that changed everything, who could take a harmonica and make it cry or laugh or sing, who wrote songs so beautiful and so politically conscious that they worked as both entertainment and education, as both celebration and protest. Stevie Wonder was blind from infancy, but he saw things that sighted people missed: the connections between love and justice, between personal relationships and social movements, between the spiritual and the political. If you grew up black in the 1970s, Stevie Wonder's music was everywhere, pouring out of radios and record players, played at parties and family gatherings, providing the soundtrack to both joy and struggle. Songs like Superstition and Living for the City and Isn't She Lovely weren't just hits. They were cultural statements, musical masterpieces that showed what was possible when genius met technology, met social consciousness. Stevie wasn't just a child prodigy who grew up to be a great artist, though he was certainly that. He was a revolutionary who transformed what popular music could be and what it could say, who used synthesizers and drum machines before anyone else understood their potential, who wrote about racism and poverty and justice without sacrificing melody or groove. And he did all of this while being one of the most joyful performers in music. Someone whose smile and energy radiated pure love even as his lyrics tackled the heaviest subjects. That combination, serious art that made you dance, political messages wrapped in irresistible melodies, made Stevie Wonder one of the most important artists of his generation and a cultural force whose influence still resonates today. Do you remember the first time you really heard Stevie Wonder? Not just heard a song on the radio, but really listened and understood what you were hearing? Maybe it was Superstition, with that iconic clavinet riff that grabbed you immediately and didn't let go. The whole song building on that groove until you couldn't help but move. Maybe it was Living for the City, that 7.5-minute epic that told the story of a young black man from Mississippi trying to make it in New York, complete with a dramatic spoken word section where you heard him get arrested and sent to prison in a story that was all too familiar to black communities. Maybe it was one of the love songs, You Are the Sunshine of My Life, or Ribbon in the Sky, or Overjoyed, where Stevie's voice conveyed such pure emotion that you felt every word in your chest. Stevie Wonder was born Steveland Hardaway Judkins in 1950 in Saginaw, Michigan. He was born 6 weeks premature, and the high oxygen levels in the incubator caused a condition called retinopathy of prematurity that left him blind. But from the earliest age, it was clear that he had an extraordinary gift for music. By age 4, he was playing piano, harmonica, and drums. By age 8, he was singing in his church choir with a voice that was already powerful and distinctive. By age 11, he had been discovered by Ronnie White of the Miracles, who brought him to Berry Gordy at Motown Records. Motown signed him immediately and gave him the stage name Little Stevie Wonder. The little would eventually be dropped as he grew up, but the wonder was always appropriate. He was a wonder, a prodigy whose musical abilities seemed almost supernatural. His first hit came in 1963 when he was just 13 years old. Fingertips, Part 2. A live recording of him tearing up the harmonica and singing with the energy and passion of someone much older. The song went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making Little Stevie Wonder the youngest artist ever to top that chart at the time. Through the 1960s, Stevie had a series of hits that established him as a major Motown star. Songs like Uptight, Everything's Alright, and I Was Made to Love Her, and For Once in My Life showcased his incredible voice, his instrumental skills, and his ability to connect emotionally with audiences. But these songs, good as they were largely written and produced by others, with Stevie as the talented performer bringing them to life. He was successful, but he wasn't yet in full creative control of his music. Everything changed in 1971 when Stevie turned 21 and his contract with Motown came up for renegotiation. He had been a star for nearly a decade, but he wanted something most artists didn't have at Motown: complete creative control over his music. He wanted to write, produce, arrange, and play the instruments on his own albums. He wanted to experiment with new sounds and technologies. He wanted to address political and social issues in his music without being filtered through Motown's hit-making formula. And remarkably, he had the leverage to demand this because he was that valuable to the label. Motown agreed to give him unprecedented creative freedom, and what followed was one of the most extraordinary creative runs in popular music history. Between 1972 and 1976, Stevie Wonder released 5 albums that are all considered masterpieces. Music of My Mind, 1972, Talking Book, 1972, Inner Visions, 1973, Fulfillingness First Finale, 1974, and Songs in the Key of Life, 1976. These albums won multiple Grammy Awards, produced numerous hit singles, and fundamentally changed what was possible in popular music. What made these albums revolutionary was Stevie's use of synthesizers and electronic instruments to create sounds that had never been heard before in popular music. He embraced the synthesizer not as a novelty or gimmick, but as a serious musical instrument capable of expressing emotion and creating atmosphere. The Tonto, the original new timbral orchestra synthesizer that he used on several albums, allowed him to layer sounds and create textures that were completely new. He was one of the first major artists to use drum machines and electronic percussion, creating grooves that were both futuristic and deeply rooted in Black musical traditions. But the technology was always in service of the music and the message, never the other way around. Superstition, with its unforgettable clavinet riff, was about the dangers of believing in superstitions rather than taking control of your own life. Living for the City was a searing critique of racism and inequality, telling the story of a young Black man whose dreams are crushed by a system rigged against him. Higher Ground was about spiritual seeking and social transformation, a funky gospel song that worked on multiple levels simultaneously. Do you remember how Living for the City made you feel the first time you heard it? The way the song built through verses describing life in Hard Time, Mississippi, the musical interlude that sounded like a journey to New York, and then that devastating spoken section where the protagonist gets framed and sent to prison for 10 years for a crime he didn't commit. The whole song was a 7-minute narrative that captured the Black experience of migration from South to North, of dreams crushed by systemic racism, of injustice that was all too common. And then the song came back with that triumphant chorus, living just enough for the city, acknowledging the struggle, but also the resilience and determination to survive. Inner Visions, released in 1973, might be Stevie's masterpiece. Every song was excellent, every moment carefully crafted, and the album worked as a unified statement about love, spirituality, politics, and the Black experience in America. Too High addressed drug addiction. Jesus' Children of America was a spiritual meditation on faith and social justice. All in Love is Fair was a heartbreaking ballad about the pain of relationships. Don't You Worry About a Thing was joyful and reassuring, sung partly in Spanish, showing Stevie's connection to broader communities of color. And Higher Ground was the funky spiritual anthem that became one of his signature songs. The accident that almost killed Stevie in 1973, just after Inner Visions was released, shocked the music world. He was riding in a car that crashed into the back of a truck, and a log came through the windshield and hit him in the head. He was in a coma for several days, and there were fears he might not survive or might have permanent brain damage. But he recovered, and some people said the accident deepened his spirituality and his commitment to using his music for meaningful purposes. Whether that's true or not, the albums that followed, Fulfillingness First Finale and especially Songs in the Key of Life, showed an artist at the absolute peak of his powers. Songs in the Key of Life, released in 1976, was a double album with an additional 4-song EP included, giving fans essentially 3 albums worth of music. It was Stevie's most ambitious work, addressing everything from the joy of new parenthood, Isn't She Lovely, written about his daughter Aisha, to the legacy of Duke Ellington, Sir Duke, to the existence of God, Pastime Paradise, to the struggles of ordinary people, Village Ghetto Land. The album was both accessible and complex, full of hooks and melodies that made it commercially successful while also being musically sophisticated in ways that rewarded repeated listening. For Black audiences, Stevie Wonder's music provided something precious, representation of Black experiences and perspectives in music that reached everyone, Black and white, in America and around the world. His songs were played on pop radio and R&B radio, crossed all the usual boundaries and barriers. White people danced to his music at weddings and parties, but the song spoke specifically to Black experiences, even as they addressed universal human emotions. His political activism was as important as his music. He was instrumental in the campaign to make Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday a national holiday, releasing the song Happy Birthday in 1981, specifically to support that effort and performing at rallies and events to pressure Congress to act. When the holiday was finally established in 1983, Stevie's advocacy was recognized as crucial to making it happen. He spoke out against apartheid in South Africa, refusing to play Sun City and encouraging other artists to boycott as well. He advocated for gun control, for disability rights, for numerous social causes, using his platform and his fame to push for justice. His blindness was a fact of his life, but never a limitation on his artistry or his activism. He navigated the world and his career with remarkable independence and capability, and he spoke about disability rights with authority and eloquence. For people with disabilities, particularly blind people, Stevie Wonder was proof that disability didn't have to mean limited possibilities, that with talent and determination and support, people with disabilities could achieve at the highest levels. The joy that radiated from Stevie in performance was infectious and genuine. Even singing about serious subjects, he seemed to be having fun, to be enjoying the act of making music and connecting with audiences. His smile was famous, his energy boundless. He would rock back and forth while playing keyboards, completely immersed in the music, and that physical engagement with the sound was part of what made his performances so compelling. He wasn't just playing notes, he was channeling something deeper, letting the music move through him and out to the audience. Do you remember seeing Stevie Wonder perform, either in person or on television? The way he commanded the stage despite not being able to see the audience, the way his joy was visible and contagious, the way he could play multiple instruments and sing simultaneously, creating complex musical moments that seemed effortless. His musicianship was so complete that he could produce entire albums, essentially by himself, playing all the instruments, singing all the parts, arranging every section. Few artists in any genre have had that level of musical mastery. His influence on other musicians was immense. Prince cited Stevie as a primary influence, and you can hear Stevie's approach to synthesizers and production in Prince's music. D'Angelo and the entire neo-soul movement of the 1990s drew heavily from Stevie's 1970s work. Hip-hop producers sampled Stevie's music extensively, building new songs on the foundation of his grooves and melodies. Artists across genres, rock, jazz, R&B, pop, acknowledged Stevie's influence and covered his songs. The combination of musical genius and social consciousness that Stevie embodied became a model for what Black artists could be and do. You didn't have to choose between making commercially successful music and addressing serious issues. You didn't have to dumb down your music to reach wide audiences. You didn't have to compromise your principles to be successful. Stevie proved that you could be all of these things simultaneously: artistically adventurous and commercially successful, politically conscious and universally appealing, serious and joyful. His love songs were as important as his political songs. You Are the Sunshine of My Life, Ribbon in the Sky, Overjoyed, Lately, Send One Your Love. These weren't just romantic ballads, though they worked beautifully as that. They were expressions of a worldview that saw love as central to human experience, as the force that made struggle worthwhile and joy possible. Stevie's spiritual beliefs, influenced by his exploration of various religious traditions, came through in these songs, presenting love as something sacred and transformative. For Black families, Stevie Wonder's music was a constant presence. His songs played at weddings and funerals, at parties and church events, on road trips and quiet evenings at home. Multiple generations could enjoy his music together because it spoke to universal experiences while also addressing specific cultural and political realities. Grandparents who had lived through segregation could appreciate Living for the City for its honest portrayal of racism, while grandchildren who never experienced that level of explicit oppression could still connect to the song's emotional truth. The Grammy Awards recognized his genius, giving him multiple awards including Album of the Year for 3 consecutive albums in the 1970s, Inner Visions, Fulfillingness First Finale, and songs in the key of life. This unprecedented achievement confirmed what Black audiences already knew. Stevie Wonder was creating music that was both popular and artistically significant, that would endure long after the initial chart success faded. His later work, while never again reaching the consistent brilliance of that 1972 to 1976 period, still produced memorable songs and moments. I Just Called to Say I Love You from the Woman in Red soundtrack 1984 became one of his biggest hits and won the Academy Award for Best Original Song. Part-Time Lover was a sophisticated commentary on infidelity wrapped in an irresistible groove. He continued to experiment with new sounds and technologies, to collaborate with other artists, to use his music to advocate for causes he believed in. As he aged, Stevie became an elder statesman of music, respected and honored by everyone in the industry. New generations of artists sought his blessing and his collaboration. He performed at every major event that celebrated Black music and culture, often bringing audiences to tears with the power of his voice and the depth of his catalog. At the 2016 White House tribute to Ray Charles, Stevie's performance reminded everyone watching why he was considered one of the greatest artists of all time. Looking back at Stevie Wonder's career and impact, what stands out is the completeness of his artistry. He was a virtuoso on multiple instruments, a brilliant composer and arranger, a producer who understood technology and sound, a singer with one of the most distinctive and expressive voices in popular music, and a songwriter who could address any subject with equal facility. He used all of these gifts in service of music that mattered, that moved people emotionally and intellectually, that made you think while making you dance. For Black people, Stevie Wonder represented possibility and excellence. A blind Black boy from Michigan became one of the most important artists in the world, beloved across all boundaries of race and nation and genre. He proved that barriers could be overcome, that talent and determination and genius could take you anywhere. And he did it while staying true to his values, to his community, to his commitment to justice and love. What's your favorite Stevie Wonder song and why? Do you remember where you were when you first heard Living for the City or Superstition? How did his music shape your understanding of what was possible in Black music? What performances or moments of his have stayed with you?